Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and today I've got game number 4 of this best of 5 and my goodness I'm excited by it because it looked like it was going to be a whitewash, but then the comeback began. Is it going to be enough? Will there be a game 5? We'll have to wait and see, but spawning up in the top left position as the red Terran even, from Team Liquid, we have TaeJa. And his opponent down in the bottom right, from Millennium, it is GosWser. Right, now, game 1, game 2, TaeJa was just like all over it. Everything was going good. Game number 3, I'm going to be honest, I thought TaeJa had that in the bag too, because GosWser, with that 2 base Mutalisk play, which is already risky, got scouted as the spire went down. And that was it. I was just like, no, TaeJa's just going to like, you're going mutas. I'm just going to defend that and then be fine. But through all adversary, GosWser was just like, you know what, bro? I'm just going to get on those Mutalisks, I'm going to do some damage, keep poking and harassing, play it safe, and just try and win the game. Where is this drone going? Drone. Okay, drone is just scouting, that's okay. I panicked a little bit, because remember game 1, GosWser did go for that proxy hatchery. So, drone is just scouting, making sure that there's no proxy 2 racks or anything like that, getting the watchtower, just taking a quick little look. And I think this is actually quite a smart thing to be doing, playing it ultra safely, because all you need is a proxy 2 racks, and you could lose the game, flat out right. You're leveling out the series, you don't want it to go down to something risky like a 2 rack. So, good play by GosWser. Back for TaeJa to the Reaper opening that he did very well in game 1 and 2 with, so just going back to his roots, not trying to switch things up like he did in game number 3 where he lost, and that makes sense. If you work game number 1 and 2, and you won the games, and then game number 3 you lost, let's go back to what I started with in game number 1 and 2, perhaps that's a better opening against GosWser. Supply depot does go down, preventing the scout out, that's a little bit frustrating for the drone, which hasn't seen the gas either. So a good little denial of scout there. GosWser, therefore not going to know precisely what's coming down. Not going to know exactly how to deal with it. So just going to keep a little eye on how GosWser reacts. He's getting down his pull, now his gas. So currently very normal. It's when he takes that third, if and when he takes it. Doesn't need to be super early because it's not a 1 rack CC, but because it's a Reaper expand most likely, he can get a little bit later up, about 6 minutes 30, should be fine. All he's got to try and do is minimize the damage he's going to take from this Reaper. The Overlord does see it, so knows what's coming in. And now the Reaper is just going to come and do a little bit of poking and prodding. The second Reaper is also in production behind this, so that's fine for TaeJa, just going to those 2 Reapers like he's done in game number 1 and game number 2. The big aim of these is just to pick off a couple of lings, deal a little bit of damage, and if you can force more Zerglings out, you actually keep the drone count lower. So even if you don't kill drones with the Reaper itself, every Zergling pair you force is 1 less drone. So that's the positive way to look at it. So the Reaper, already just starting to chip away, is going to be able to kill off these 2 lings with some good micro. Will then fall back. Needs to get away quite carefully though, because otherwise the Zerglings can kill it. Needs to use those combat drugs just to heal up and play it safe. Conservation of these Reapers is absolutely essential, because the second they're dead, the pressure becomes irrelevant. The Queen also out now, should be able to force the Reapers back, but still, a good number of Zerglings were forced. There's 3 less drones out than there would have been if this opening hadn't have occurred. TaeJa once more, just going for this little bit of Queen harassment, run away, heal up, and that's really how he wants to play it. GosWser just needs to make sure that he doesn't lose too many more Zerglings, or he will be forced to get some more out. The Reaper's going to sit back, start healing, and then they can come back and try and deal with the Queen again. This game, GosWser not switching the Queens from the main and natural, because the injects won't be synced up, and he doesn't want to miss those injects. It's not worth it. So he may do so after the injects go down. And it looks like, yeah, he's going to pull the next Queen out because he's got a third one coming in the main base. And that's going to really help him with these Reapers. But already the Zerglings are nearly all dead. There's only 1 remaining. The Queen is a little bit lower, but just 2 Reapers up against 2 Queens. The Queens will win that fight. Back at home for TaeJa, he's getting up his Orbit Command, ready to float down to the natural. He's getting out the Hellions, so pretty much an identical opening to game 1 with this Tech Lab and Starport coming down. He's going to be going for those Banshee again. Will it be Cloak Banshee though? That's the important thing to keep an eye out for, because that's going to really influence the way GosWser has to defend it. But GosWser getting up that lair a bit later than he did in game number 3 means that he will have the option of getting some Overseers out. That's going to really help him even if Cloak does come down. He's got Lair Tech, so he can start up the Spire, the Hydra Den, ready to really aid the defense. But the Banshee is going to get started. Cloak is what we're keeping an eye out for. Is it going to get started too? Well, no, it looks like it's not. Remember, it only costs 100, so GosWser, TaeJa would have enough money in order to start that, but choosing not to for the time being. GosWser, interestingly, not taken a third hatchery yet though, so I'm going to be interested to see when that comes down, because about 6:30 is when you want to get it up against that, well, Reaper expanding it slightly there, because obviously the command center was built in the main as opposed to floating down. But still, once again, relatively soon, the Spine Crawler is down once more. So this could be a little bit of mind game, saying that, well, am I going for that 2-base muta play again to TaeJa? Because TaeJa's checked down, he's seen that there's no third base there, and there it is, the Spire is coming down, same position, with the Overlord generating creep in order to allow it to be put right between the two bases. And the purpose of this is just in case the scan went down here or here, hopefully it wouldn't spot the Spire. So this, while it's similar to the last game, TaeJa probably going to be a little bit suspicious, because there isn't that third, and this evolution chamber wall off, and the spine crawler is down again, and that didn't happen in game number 1 and 2 when he wasn't going for this play. But it's the lack of a third base is the really big thing and the big indicator of what's happening. So there we go, engineering bay getting started up there by TaeJa. So he has got an inkling that it could be those Mutalisks. Probably going to chuck down some missile turrets. He's getting down the additional barracks in order to just really start pumping out a good number of Marines. He's also gone for the Viking, which I think whenever you get a starport, getting a Viking down is always a good move, because if nothing else, you can start trying to pick away at any overlords that are stray on the map. Now, the Banshee has come in, got 4 worker kills, so not a tragically high number, but also just doing a little bit of damage. Probably worthwhile there, getting that Banshee down if we can do that. It forced a couple of Spore Crawlers as well, so that's always going to be useful. The 1-1 upgrades are coming down. GosWser, still no third base. This third base, if I'm not mistaken, is now getting to the point where it's actually later than it would have been in game number 3 when he went for that 2-base muta play. So the 5 Mutalisks do have a lot of work cut out. TaeJa has got his third command center already started too. So that third CC coming down, if it stays up, is going to give TaeJa a nice little economic boost. Even if he doesn't float it down, he's producing 3 SCVs at a time, and he's got those 3 mules. The Viking making a quick little bit of work of a couple of these overlords that are here, there, and everywhere. This is really starting to limit the map vision of GosWser, and that's a bit frustrating for him. He can't see anything in the middle of the map, he doesn't hold these watchtowers, but what he does have is a couple of Mutalisks popping out. These mutas going to try and do some nice damage. Are there missile turrets down? Well, yes, one at the natural, one at the main, one at the natural there between those 2 gas geysers. There's also a good number of Marines, the Viking there too, all looking solid. Simultaneously, TaeJa just poking and prodding at the front. Good little push back there. The Vikings and Marines going to be saying no to Mutalisk harassment. And there isn't really that many mutas there either. Only 5 of them down on the field. 6 in total. The 6th one has just joined in with his force now. Going to try and pick up a couple of these Hellions. But a quick stim from the Marines are going to try and push them back again. Is successful in doing so. The third base is up and running here. Or is on its way down for GosWser. But he's got to be careful not to lose these Mutalisks. And if he does, that could be diabolically bad. And of course, these mutas getting very low. They are picking off a couple of the Hellions. But of course, the Mutalisks themselves getting pretty low too. All 6 still surviving, and as long as they don't die, they do heal up incredibly quickly. Double medevac is heading towards a position where it could lift up and go and drop into the main base, so we'll have to see if that does come down. But it looks like TaeJa opting not to, just pulling back, getting a scan down, trying to get a quick little read of what's happening there. Just as I said previously, if you get the scan off, sometimes you can miss the Spire placement, so that's really important. Upgrades are slightly advantageous for GosWser with 1-1 up against 1-0, but then Combat Shield, that's nearly done. We've got a good number of medevacs, and, well, ultimately, TaeJa, he's just got to hold this off. This Ling Bling Muta push. If he doesn't take too much damage from this, he's going to be in a very nice position, because GosWser's only have 55 drones. It's not a great economy to really re-max out on. He doesn't have a big bank. The Mutalisks, the Zerglings, pushing in towards the third. They're going to try and force the lift at that orbital command. It should be able to get away, though. The Mutalisks don't really have that much damage, and GosWser knows it. He's going to just try and look to potentially go and smash through the natural, and if he can get in there, if he can get those good Baning connections, it'll be huge. But 1 tank there, 2nd tank on the way, but the Banelings, they do not care, pushing straight in. But good split on the Marines preemptively just means that nothing is coming through that door anyway. 4th is trying to come down, but a Banshee has discovered it. It's just going to start shelling away at it, and until the Mutalisks come and deal with that, well, the hatchery's just going to take more and more damage. It will get up, but it will just be very low health, so not too good. Mutalisks are going to intercept the Banshee, take that out very quickly, and that's actually a really good thing for GosWser to do, because now the Banshee has been taken out, he's got to worry a little bit less about one form of harassment, and that's always a very important thing to have off your back. Now, 2-2 upgrades coming down, 2-1 are nearly completed up here for TaeJa. TaeJa trying to get a drop down, trying to really prevent this hatchery from going down, but isn't going to be able to get away, because even though the medevac has boosted, the Mutalisks can catch up. So that's why the Marines getting dropped out, because otherwise they die regardless. The medevac may get saved. It looks like it is going to be getting back home, and that's actually an important save because medevac count really influences how effective your infantry is going to be, especially against the Zergling heavy composition. It's also the Banelings though, they're a bit of a threat. That's why Drilling Claws is coming down. The Widow Mine count is slowly starting to increase, but only a single Widow Mine being produced at a time. And this is actually quite stylistic of TaeJa, that he's not getting many Widow Mines down in any of these engagements and any of these games. He's just getting a few reliant on those Marines, Marauders and medevacs, and without the mine hits, that can make Banelings absolutely devastating. So currently I'd say this is the closest game of the series so far. TaeJa is going to try and pick up a couple of Mutalisks, though gets one. Can he get that second one, which got away with just 8 health? No, he can't. It's able to escape, but that was very close. A misstep like that again from GosWser could be the end of his Mutalisk flock, and that's something that he definitely won't want to be happening. 4th base is up for GosWser, so that means that he's going to be a base up on his opponent, just where he wants to be as a Zerg player. He's still busy just trying to get out these Mutalisk, Zergling and Baneling composition. The Mutalisk flock now up to 12, so actually pretty scary. There's only a single missile tower coming at the 3rd and a handful of Marines, so actually the Mutalisk could punch straight through that potentially, and that has got to be something that should be on TaeJa's mind. He needs to be careful not to lose units, not to lose workers unnecessarily just from a little bit of Muta harass, but the bunker coming down may help. This missile tower can get focused very quickly, especially the +1 air weapons done for these Mutalisks. Their damage is going to be pretty high, and that means that a missile turret, unless it's instantly repaired, will get focused down. Currently though, the Mutalisks just being on anti-drop defense, so just making sure that any medevacs that try and sneak through into the main base do get taken out. TaeJa is ahead in the army supply by just over 20. That's a nice little lead for him that no doubt he's going to try and exploit. Does manage to pick off a Baneling there. A few Marines die in the process, but now in comes the Zerg swarm, flooding forwards. Are they going to be able to get the good connects? Well, the tanks just managing to siege in time, but it won't be quickly enough to stop this onslaught. A lot of Banelings detonating on the tanks. TaeJa trying to split as best he can at the moment, but the Marines will still survive. A couple of Banelings still left to detonate, but not enough to threaten this force. So TaeJa there, actually with an okay trade. Both players losing equal amounts pretty much, but it's the lack of the Banelings now that's going to be causing the problems. The Marines making their way forward. TaeJa going to be trying to push in. The Mutalisks are going to go for it. Where are the Widow Mines? Their connections could be absolutely huge. More Banelings trying to morph in. Speed done for those Banelings as well. On creep, they're incredibly fast, but TaeJa just splitting so ridiculously quick. GosWser playing at 600 APM at the moment, but it's not enough. TaeJa is pushing in. He still hasn't stopped this force as of yet, but the Banelings that have just morphed will be able to do it. The split's not coming down there, and the push, well, forced to retreat back. TaeJa does still have some units rallying forward, but it's got to be careful with that because the Mutalisks alone can deal with small number of Marines, and that's really what we're seeing here. The medevac's also going to get taken out. GosWser will hold at the moment in what was a ridiculously tight position. He's ahead in the worker count and has got a decent bank. He's looking to be in an okay spot with a supply advantage too, and ahead in the army supply as well. But TaeJa, he is still on these 3 bases. He's pumping out units very quickly. He's got 2-2 down now, leveling up the upgrades, and he's getting a mine count rather that's looking a bit more sizable. The trouble for TaeJa is he's only got 4 medevacs. He lost a lot in that push, and that means his infantry is going to be less effective. These Mutalisks too, they've got +2 flyer attack on its way down. The Muta flock up to 18 with 5 more on their way out. That's getting pretty sizable. It's getting to be the sort of force that you don't want to engage head on, especially with small groups of Marines. But the Mutalisks, they're going to be trying to go and get a bit of harassment done, trying to keep the map controlled, but TaeJa is just piling on the pressure, constantly pushing in to GosWser, forcing him to try and get the trades. TaeJa feeling very confident with his ability to split these Marines to prevent the Banelings getting the detonations that are required for GosWser to not just lose the game outright. TaeJa really applying the force, but in comes GosWser. He's got a sizable army here, pushing in, but some Widow Mine hits, deal some nice damage. The Banelings just rolling through, undiscriminately detonating on anything they can find, but Widow Mines not even able to stop them. The Marines forcing back, retreating as quickly as possible. GosWser pushing in the pain. A couple more Widow Mine hits are going to go off. TaeJa trying his utmost to hold off this force and is able to stop the ground army, but at such a high cost. GosWser losing 3,000 more resources admittedly overall this game, but both players are just fighting for this spot so desperately. GosWser wants to take it to the ace game. He wants to win this series. TaeJa doesn't want to have to try and play another one of these games, especially after the 2-0 start of the series. GosWser with his hive coming down with the 5th base on its way up against the 4th of TaeJa. Is TaeJa going to be able to get out enough stuff to be able to defend this? He's down in supply by just under 20. He's got a slightly larger army, but a lot less workers, and that means that his economy is not looking quite as comfortable. GosWser mining about 400 gas and more per minute, but his mineral income is slightly low, and that's why TaeJa's able to trade like this, because the resources lost equal on gas. It's just the additional minerals being lost, but the mules are recompiling that as quickly as possible. Now in come the banelings once again. TaeJa trying to split, is managing to do an amazingly good job of it. The mutalisks, a couple of those are getting taken out by the marines. 2-3. 2 upgrades are done for the marines, about to be 3-3, and that means their DPS against those mutas is absolutely astronomical. The 5th base has been found by a small splinter group of marines. TaeJa just keeping the pressure on, piling on the pain. Taking out that 5th base means that he's forced his opponent back onto equal bases as he is, and that of course is going to start favouring the Terran player. The marines, the Marauders still pushing in. GosWser starting to run out of these banelings. A couple of hits, doesn't connect on the marines though. More banelings rolling in, a good hit there. Needs one more to start killing those marines, gets the hit needed, but there's still marines out on the field, not so many banelings. The Ultralisk Cavern trying to come down. This push from TaeJa doesn't look very big, but there's just a stream of reinforcements coming in. The banelings trying to detonate the Widow Mines, get a good burrow down, and a lot of those detonations coming down are not too much, but there's a massive Widow Mine hit, taking down so many banelings there, and that really could be what really TaeJa needed to push in and knock off this 4th base. And if the 4th goes down, that very well may be it for GosWser, because without this 4th base, his economy is not going to be as good as that of TaeJa's. The Mutalist trying to come in, TaeJa just fighting the army head on. No banelings, and that's the problem. A Widow Mine hit does go off, the Mutalist count going down. GosWser knows he's lost, and GG is called. And there we see it. TaeJa takes the series 3-1, but my god, wasn't that intense? Such a good series. If you enjoyed that, make sure you like the video. Make sure you leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe, and I'll see each and every one of you for yet another new cast. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Madals, and bye for now.